come here to share my grief and offer my condolences for the untimely demise of India's first Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, Mrs. Madhulika Rawat, and all the officers and men on board the helicopter crash that happened yesterday. It is indeed a very sad time for India's armed forces and the nation. And we must try to understand the legacy of General Bipin Rawat. Indeed, he was one of the most decorated and able soldiers of the Indian Army to have been accorded this honor of being the first Chief of Defence Staff. For those unaware, I would urge you to try and understand the legacy of General Rawat. What significance the Chief of Defence Staff this term holds, heading all the three armed forces and managing three such important portfolios above the Army Chief, Air Force Chief and Navy Chief. General Rawat was indeed one of the most able and decorated soldiers of the Indian Army. And as the first Chief of Defence Staff, he was responsible for the modernization of our armed forces and the integration of all the three forces. So you can imagine what an important position he had been given. Why this was important? This also signifies the coming of age of India as a nation and as a military power. If you see any superpower in the world, such as US, UK, France, all of them have had Chief of Defence Staff for many years. General Rawat was accorded the honor of being India's first Chief of Staff because this was a step in getting ready for the need of the hour. In any war or any warlike situation, all the three defence forces have to work in sync, and General Rawat was responsible for creating that synergy between the three forces. So try to find out what each medal on his chest stood for. Look at that brave chest of medals. These medals are earned with blood, sweat and toil, tears and immense sacrifices. And I can vouch for that as an army wife, being the daughter of an army officer and the daughter-in-law of another army officer. The other officers who also passed away were Brigadier L.S. Litter, Lieutenant Colonel Harjinder Singh, Wing Commander P.S. Chauhan, Squadron Leader K. Singh, Junior Warrant Officer Das, Junior Warrant Officer Pradeep, Havildar Satpal, Naik Gursevak Singh, Naik Jitendra Kumar, Lance Naik Vivek Kumar, and Lance Naik Sai Teja. These brave soldiers did not belong to any religion, any political party, any sect or any ideology. They all served the nation as one, as brother in arms with only the love for their nation. I know many of us live in our cushy, luxurious lives today, but our armed forces enable us that freedom and security. So why do you feel that many people in our country still don't know the significance of the armed forces? Because the armed forces don't come on our TV debate, they don't give statements, they are not seen in protests on the streets, meaningless protests. They simply serve the nation. That's what they do. And they protect our borders and they make our lives comfortable and safe. But it is important and it is our duty to know what they do. In the end, I would also like to mention that I have no words to even begin to express my disgust at some of the people who actually mocked and celebrated the incident. Recognize those people for the moles and the traitors they are in our country. वो कहते हैं ना, वो किसी के भी सगे नहीं हैं. So the next time you see them on the streets, raising their hands for some protest or the other, meaningless protest, you would know who they are. And I say this to you as a proud army wife, daughter of an army officer and the daughter-in-law of another army officer and a forever army fan. Jai Hind.